Throughout early 1999, a show aired on Nick Jr. Now, as for what this show was, it was called The Cabin Friends. Now, from what I can remember, the show itself was alright. It wasn't really that bad, except I only saw it when I was channel surfing. Later down the line, I had a kid, and although my son still to this very day watches Nick Jr., I at least have a bit of doubt that in the back of my mind he really likes it all that much, given the fact that what he saw in that show was already creepy enough. I couldn't blame him after I watched it. Now, here's the thing. This really isn't an episode that we both saw. I got him a DVD set one day, which was Cabin Friends, and it included all the episodes from early 1999 all the way to 2003. Like I said, everything was normal. The box set looked pretty cool and pretty interesting, and I figured it'd be something that my son might like to watch and just sit down and have a field day with, if you'll pardon the pun there. But for the most part, it was okay, and I bought it, only averaging to around £1 to £2. Nevertheless, I eventually got home and I immediately showed it to my son. Now, here's the thing, my girlfriend wasn't home yet, so she didn't get to really see any of what happened. I didn't tell her, but nevertheless, he looked pretty ecstatic. He then went in, hobbling as he usually would, in a kind of funny manner, and as he then sat down to view the episode, I decided to go up to my, room and finish off some work. I actually intended to work from home at the time, mainly just doing small things at a sort of intern business and finishing files and touching up different projects. It eventually got to the point where I was tucking my son into bed, my girlfriend also standing by him, wishing him good night. Now, it was only when she left the room that my son then said something to me. "Dad," he said in a rather chilled and unnerved, whimpery voice. I then replied softly, just saying, "Yes, son?" He then stated that something was wrong with that thing, and what he said next was enough to make me fear for him more than anything. He said, "Dad, that episode really scared me. I don't think I want to watch Cabin Friends anymore, to be honest." What I then said was a lie, just saying that, "Oh, well, maybe it was just your imagination." I had to say that so I could dismiss the claim and hopefully make him feel better. It did work, and it actually made him feel a bit safer, or at least safe enough to drift off into a peaceful and restful sleep. I then made my way to my bedroom and saw my girlfriend sleeping as well. But what my son said kept eating at me. I then decided to sneak down the stairs, careful enough not to make any noises. I tiptoed down the creaky as hell floorboards that were in our house, and I made it to the family TV. Now granted, this wasn't the best TV, and it was good enough to pick up things, obviously, but it was a basic TV from 2005. So, yeah, not the best quality. But anyway, it's okay at the time, and I decided to watch the episodes. The Nick Jr. logo popped up, as it usually would in the 3D motion, of the two just cheerfully dancing around with Nick holding up the Jr. After that, it then cut to the episode select, where I could select play all, select an episode, or I could use the options and navigate around there. I noticed that when I clicked the options just to see what was up with that, there wasn't an actual other episode in there that just said bonus content. As I clicked on that, thinking that may have been the cause of concern, it turns out it was just normal. I then went through the other episode select list and they all seemed like the normal episodes from the TV show. Except, the longer I looked at the episode selection screens, I got to, I believe it was the 17th slide, with the last 6 episodes of the season. And for the record, this was only season 1, so I didn't have the other DVDs. But nevertheless, I looked closely at one of the episodes. It was the second to final episode. It was simply titled, A Day in the Life of Cabin Friends and Cabin. Now for those that don't know, there was actually a sentient cabin that was known simply as Cabine. Cabine was essentially the joke character of the entire episode, but it kind of revolved around him. So I guess you could say he was the main character in all of this, as well as the 2 young boys that also accompanied him in his misadventures. The episode started as normal, with the title card coming up as simply blank text on a white screen. The black text was also kind of outlined as if there was a shadow on the white background. The next thing I noticed that was off and kind of weirded me out is that the Nick Jr. logo wasn't on any of the corners of the screen. My attention quickly grew from that, however. I then immediately focused on where the place was set. It was a darker version of the main farm, or where the 2 cabin friends or children would usually be, and then go ahead and talk to Cabot about a misadventure. It was nighttime as well, which made it even more eerie, and with the overwhelming darkness and the fog, it was hard to see Cabot's face. He seemed to have a really weird malice-filled expression, which then twisted into that of a wide, horrific grin. And I'm telling you now, if looks could kill, that would be it. He looked so menacing, in fact, that I could understand why someone would be scared of him. The next thing that I heard caught me off guard. It was Cabot. He then said in a demonic voice of sorts, that was enough to freak me out. The voice sounded so menacing, and I know this was a kid's cartoon, but it had me on edge. The fear was immense, and I remember looking at the scene, waiting for it to transition, but it's then revealed that Cabot wasn't talking to the audience. He was actually talking to the 2 kids, Josh and George. The 2 kids that were brothers and lived on the farm. They then say to Cabot that, we don't want to play with you anymore, Cabot. I'm sorry, but our mom and dad told us. And then before they could finish their sentence, Cabot then says,
Don't want to play games? Don't want to have fun? Don't want to adventure to different places and see different creatures and save the world and see other things instead of being bored? Don't want to be with friends?
I then started to get visibly uncomfortable. I was about to shut it off when what happened next utterly horrified me. Still chills me knowing what happened. George, I think the oldest of the 2 brothers, then decides to walk in to Cabot, as he then is shown going into the darkness as Cabot's face opens up, revealing the cabin. He then goes in, and after that, he never comes out. At least not for the remainder of the couple of seconds of staring at pure darkness that envelops George. There was then a scream of pure agony as George was running out, when then Cabot's face closed, practically squashing a half of his body, and then slicing through it. George desperately tried to crawl away with what appeared to be gruesome entrails hanging out of his now open and sliced off back side. I then heard Cabot say in an even darker voice, something about not running was hard to believe at this point. Why wouldn't he? But at this point he can't, he's only crawling. And all of a sudden, he's dragged back in as Cabot moves forward. Josh is petrified, and Cabot slowly pulling himself as well to eat and envelop Josh, then turns towards the camera.
You made me suffer by making this damn show. You made me suffer by leaving me. This is a lot sometimes trickery. Listen, Gregory. Listen. Please, don't leave me. Because I love to be out here. You're the only friend I have, Gregory. So please don't leave me, Gregory. This show was meant to your own desires. Everything in your mind, no girl is to watch this. Boys entries. Maybe someday you can join me.
What the fuck? I yelled. I couldn't keep my cool at this point. I grabbed the DVD, ejected it, and started stomping on it. I kicked it, I squashed it, I snapped it, and it was gone. That demonic fucking DVD was gone, and I made sure of it. I don't know who this Gregory person was, but I know it clearly was not meant for me. And I don't know how this episode even got on this fucking DVD. Nevertheless, I was then quickly jolted into self-awareness of what I'd just done. I hoped I didn't wake up my son or even my girlfriend. I went up the stairs, and needless to say, they slept through it pretty well. To this very day, I still don't know who Gregory is, but I hope to God it wasn't a poor little soul that had the unfortunate experience of seeing this, because that fucking show can burn in hell. It really can. Even looking back on it now, it gave me the creeps. I'm surprised the store owners didn't check it, or at least have a look through it, but then again, who does? I don't know what happened next, but I know the pieces mysteriously disappeared. So that's it. Cabot is gone, and he will never terrorize me, my son, or anyone else again, hopefully. But just in case, if that fucking episode should ever show up on any of your copies, get rid of it. Just destroy the disc, destroy the DVDs. Just do something, please. Don't subject your kids to this horrific fucking nightmare of a show. If anyone wishes to reply to my post, I'll be happy to respond with answers or questions, but please don't ever show your kids this episode. Forget that. Don't even show them the cabin friends at all. Just leave it. Because that's one monster that should be buried and stay dead. Thank you for reading. Finally, at least I can get this story out. Wait a minute. Junior. Gregory. That's my son's name.